So hello and welcome back to Blake's Den. And this is not what I was planning on working on today, but I've just been around a friend's house. He said he's been having some problems with his Mountfield mower, and I said I would get it working for him. So yeah, let's make a start. So what the problem is, it will start up, it will run and then just die. When I was round there, I took out the float bowl, or took off the float bowl from the carb, and yeah, it was full of dirt, full of sort of rusty bits, and we just couldn't get it cleaned up. I didn't really have any tools with me at all. So what I think it needs is, I think it needs the carb taken off and a really good clean. So what happens is, when you prime it, you can see there's some fuel. It pours that straight into the throat of the carb. It'll run off that fuel and then it will die. If you then try and choke this with your hand or finger or something like that, it will actually run, which suggests there's not enough fuel going into the carb. So when I'm choking it off, I'm reducing the fuel, reducing the air, which in turn is reducing the fuel, and it's getting the right balance to run. But when it's sort of wide open, it won't do anything. So let me just fire this up now, and I'll show you what happens. So I've just put a clamp on the dead man's handle, so I don't have to keep pulling it. Say we've primed it, and then it should just fire up. You can hear it doing that sort of burr, 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 and eventually it'll just die. And if I choke it like that, it runs a lot better. So yeah, I think we need a carb rebuild. So to get to the carb, two 10mm nuts there, M6 nuts, and that gets this assembly off, and then we should be able to get in. With those two nuts off, this whole assembly is loose. I need to pull off the fuel line from the fuel tank. That's just held on by a little clip. Obviously when I do that, the fuel will just pour out. I don't think there's a fuel tap on this. No, so I'm just going to pinch that with some clamps, stop the fuel from pouring out. So I've just got some pliers to work off that fuel line. It's coming now. There we are. So then we should be able to get the carburettor off. It'll just be a case of lifting out the linkage and lifting out the throttle or the governor spring, which is a little bit tricky to do, but there we are. Carburettor is off. This assembly is just the primer assembly. I can probably pull that off as well. I think that'll probably make life a bit easier. So again, just move the spring clip out the way, pull the pipe off. There we are. You can sort of see what condition everything's in here. It's all very dirty, not really been looked after, but yeah, the guy got it from, inherited the mower, came with his house, so and he doesn't know anything about them, so hence why I got involved. So if we take off the bottom of the carburettor, so I can feel the fuel coming out now. I'll just let all that drain out. Fuel's nice and clean, which is good, but the actual sort of float bowl, if you can see that, it's full of rust and dirt, as is the base of the carburettor itself, where the needle is, the jet, where it sucks the fuel up and atomizes it. So all that is really bad and dirty. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this into the garage and we'll give it a good clean up and we'll see whether that makes a difference. Now that we're back in the garage, I'm just going to give this a bit of a soak with WD-40 and then just going to give it a bit of a clean, just get some of this dirt and debris off. It shouldn't make a difference to how it works, but you know, it just, well, just makes it a bit better to deal with, doesn't it? Makes you a bit less dirty when you're working on it, and hopefully should prolong the life of the components. So well, I'll bring you back when this is a bit cleaner. So I'm just going to go around, scrape that and possibly give it a bit of a scrub with a scrubbing brush, and we'll get all the debris off it. So there we are, that's looking much cleaner now. So now I'm going to tackle the float bowl. I'm going to get all the dirt out. I'm going to remove all of the rust just with a screwdriver, just to free it all off. And then, yeah, we'll just keep cleaning this out with a bit of WD-40, and then we'll finish it off with a bit of brake cleaner, just to make sure we've got all of the dirt and debris out of it. It's about as clean as I'm going to get it. I hit it with a wire wheel on the drill, and yeah, it seems to be better, but less chance of debris going up the carburettor now. But yeah, you can see how bad this is here. Well, you see where it's been sitting in water, where it's corroded. And you can see that the float's quite dirty as well. So I'm going to hit that on the wire brush as well. Get that cleaned up. And then we can think about cleaning it properly. There we are, it's looking a bit better. And then I want to clean out the carburettor needle, which sits down here. So it should have a couple of grooves in it. I can see that's wound all the way in. So I'm just going to wind it out. Normally there's sort of like one turn back from being all the way in. There we are. That's what the air gets sucked through. It's a very small hole in it. So now I'm going to get my air line and clean this. So I have air on a compressor. If you haven't got that, you can buy a can of air and do it that way. So I'm just going to clean out the needle the best I can. I'm also going to blow air all the way up here. So I actually feel that coming out the other side of the carburettor, which is good. And I'm just going to make sure all the orifices are nice and clean. Right, I think that's it. So we'll put this back together, put it back on the machine and see if it's made any difference. So the old expression, refitting is the reverse of removal, applies here. So first thing we want to do is get the spring on for the governor, or the throttle spring, not sure which one it is, don't really care, just needs to go back on. So we'll thread that in there, which is quite fiddly to do. There we are, I've got it. So I got that on now, and then I need to get the throttle linkage on. So that just pushes in. Should push down that hole. Okay, we've got it. And then we need to pull it around here. We've already left the gasket on that side. I'll put that on there. There was a gasket which went on the intake side, which isn't the world's best gasket, but it's all we've got, so that's what I'll have to do. So that goes on there. We can then put the fuel line back on. Just moving the spring clip back into place. little fiddly, but there we are. And we can then put the cover back on as well. But before I do that, I'm just going to quickly clean that because that is pretty disgusting. That's the cover back on. We'll just whip these two nuts in and we'll leave the air cleaner off for now, just while we're testing it, because I think that'll allow us to see if we've fixed the problem or not. Just nip them up, we don't have to be super tight. See, I've taken the clamp off the fuel line now, so that fuel will slowly be going back into the carburettor bowl, float bowl. That'll fill up, the float will shut off, and then we'll have enough fuel in to run this. What I can do is just check the primer. Yeah, the primer, I can see fuel going in the carb, so I think it might be ready for a test run. So yeah, with everything out of the way, fire it up and see what happens. That seems to be running a lot better now. It's not bogging down, it's not revving, it's not going all over the place at all. And when I manually rev it, it revs up cleanly. One of the other issues he said he had was the air filter as well. Kept sort of falling off, or the cover kept falling off, and I think that sort of contributed to dirt and debris getting into the carburettor. So we'll see if we can find a better way of it attaching this. So it should hook in there. And then, yeah, I think the clip is just like almost a bit worn out there. Oh no, it seems pretty secure now. Maybe it just wasn't clipped in fully. Right, let's give it a go and see if it's properly fixed. Right, I've not got an awful lot of grass to test this on, but let's give it a go. I think the grass might be so tough, it's not even... Let the dead man's handle out. Final jobs to do. I just want to give it a bit of love. I'll just blow some of the stuff off it with the airline. You know, stuff like this down here, that can get sucked into the engine cooling fan and into the fins, and then it can make your engine overheat. So you just blow all that out. I was going to give this an oil change, but when I've checked the oil actually looks okay. I mean, the amount of use it gets, you know, the oil is actually quite clean, so I'm just going to leave that for now. But one thing I did notice when I was pushing it around was that the wheels seemed a bit stiff, so I'm just going to give a bit of GT85 lubricant on them, sort of leaves a bit of a PTFE coating and just help things roll. So just gonna spray down there, and I'll go around the other side. Just spray the axle. There we are. Jobbed. So I wasn't planning on doing this today, but I thought I'd bring you along, and I thought I'd video it at the same time. And yeah, it's been quite interesting really, but it's certainly running a lot better. It's functioning now. I've saved this from going to landfill, essentially. He was all up for buying a new one, And to be honest, new ones are, you know, 150 quid or so. But if you got something which works and can easily be repaired, then you should always repair before you buy something new. So I'm really pleased that I've saved this, and it's hopefully going to live a bit longer. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, press that like button below. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I've had a massive influx of subscribers lately, so I really appreciate that. And if you've got any questions, just drop them below in the comments. So once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.